side, gets a block down the sideline, end zone, touchdown!
Colorado upsets 13th-ranked Penn State.
Center left foot shot off the post. Taking on the line, goal for the Buffaloes.
Blitz coming, Spain in trouble, the ball's loose. Scooped up by Colorado and a big man running all the way in.
The drought is finally over. Welcome into the Buffalo Stampede from Palo Alto, California. The Buffaloes knock off Stanford 10-5. Hard-fought game, but they pick up win number 6 of the season. They're bowl eligible for the first time since 2007. They're 4-1 in Pac-12 conference play. The push for the championship continues. Barnett and Mark Johnson. Well, it's never easy, and this team proved it in this ball game, but boy, did they gut out a win.
Hard fought is exactly right, and the defense especially. And you said it earlier, you know, in a game like this, defense has to win the game for you. And this defense came up with 4 big turnovers, 3 interceptions, and the last one is so critical of time. And there was a lot of things in this game. There's a safety, there's,
3 missed field
fumbles
goals
on the goal line, 3 missed field goals. I mean, it had a lot in it. It's just a lot of heartburn is what it had in it.
Yeah, it was nearly impossible. The Buffaloes did have 359 yards of offense, rushed for over 200, but they could never find a rhythm out there offensively.
They never did. From the minute that game started, they didn't have a rhythm. The defense had a little rhythm, though, and at least we had one working for us. And special teams gets a lot of criticism. They did miss 3 field goals, which is unheard of. But Alex Kinney kicked a kick that we had to have down there that died inside the 5-yard line. We covered punts as beautifully and as effectively as anybody does against Christian McCaffrey. Everything else, for the most part, went off pretty well, except we missed 3 field goals, and that's got to be that's a problem. But our backup field goal kicker didn't even make the trip because he's sick. So it's an issue we got to work on. But overall, special teams did a pretty good job, I thought.
Gary, boy, you talk about that defense. Phenomenal. I mean, 3 interceptions, 2 of them by Tedrick Thompson. You had 1 by Isaiah Oliver. There was a fumble recovery. They forced another one. It seemed like every time this team needed a play, that unit came up enormous in this game.
Well, and we talked about it so much. Bobby said it on the sideline. If anybody's going to make a play, it's going to have to be on defense right now. Somebody's got to come up with it, and boom, they would. And that's what happens when you're on a roll and things are going your way. You're going to have games like this. And it's like I said after the show, I said, if you had this game a year ago, everybody would be hooting and hollering and screaming and yelling.
That's right.
And here it is a year later, and we're putting up 515 yards on the board, and we don't do it today, and so there's going to be people upset. I understand that, but we just won. We just won a game, our 6th game of the year. We're in a bowl. We're in a driver's seat for the Pac-12 championship. Now, who would really have believed Mike McIntyre when he said that when we started the season? But we're closer and closer. We've got a bye week. Can't be any better for the Buffs.
We've talked about the rise, and that's kind of been the theme all season long. Maybe it should be the climb that we talk about here. You're uniquely qualified to know what Mike feels like, what this program feels like at this point in time. The rest of us are happy. You've been there. You've done this. You know what it's like. Explain what's going through Mike's head.
Here's what Mike's thinking. He's so relieved, and he's saying to himself, I knew it. I knew we could do it. Not very many people believed us, but we did it. And that's the way he's feeling. And now he's got a sense on the way home and over the weekend, he's going to have a greater sense than ever that they can actually end up in that Pac-12 championship. So, great deal of relief, sort of some self-assurance that you do know what you're doing, because you're not always sure.
And you wonder sometimes.
But you're going to act like it anyway. So, big relief for everybody associated with this program.
And I'd say this, after a hard-fought win like this, there's certainly stuff to work on, but you love the fact there's a bye week coming up, don't you?
I really do. It's perfect because there's going to be lots of things they can work on. They're going to get a chance to see what happens this weekend, what happens next weekend, and they're going to know exactly who and what they're going to have to do to get to that championship game.
Bowl bound for the first time since 2007. When you consider, you go back in the day when you were here, go back before that when you first got here with Coach Mack and where this program was and the high level it was playing, it's been a 10-year drought. For the fact that they're going back to a bowl game at the very minimum at this point is spectacular.
Well, and I was part of a 30-year drought at Northwestern as we tried to make it work. So I know just how relieved everybody is. And you want to say overjoyed, but it really comes down to relief.
It does.
That you actually can accomplish this thing, that you are worthwhile, that you can coach this game, that you can influence young people to do something they haven't done before. That's what you really feel.
10-5 the final. The Buffaloes 6-2, bowl eligible on the season. They're 4-1 in the Pac-12 South. A fun one, a tough one here in Palo Alto as the Buffs knock off the Stanford Cardinal 10-5. Stay with us. We're going to hook up with some alums. A lot of them out here for this ball game as we continue on the Stampede. Back in a moment.
The option wide. There's the pitch. In a foot race, won't get the first down. Strickland comes up with a huge one.
Back in the Stampede, it's a festive atmosphere ahead of the ball game with the Buffaloes and the Stanford Cardinal. A lot of alums, a lot of former players, including this guy. We talk about 2001. One of the great players out that team, played 9 years in the National Football League, defensive back Donald Strickland. Welcome. Good to see the Buffs out here in California, isn't it?
Definitely. The rise is real.
Well, you know, we've talked with a lot of guys about that, and it's been a tough, maybe 10-year stretch for the Buffaloes. It's been tough for alum who played on great teams to kind of watch, hasn't it?
It has. It's been difficult, tenure, but, that's part of football. Every athletic program sometimes goes through that, ups and downs. And, right now, we're in a good season.
You can wear that black and gold with pride right now, right?
Definitely. And that was a hard thing, being in other locker rooms and, you get the betting and things of that nature. And, it was hard to represent CU in those dark times, but we're coming up out of it.
You played 9 years in the National Football League. That's a heck of a career.
I didn't really know I would play that long. You just give your best effort. You go out there every year and try to compete. And, God blessed me. And I went through injuries, so I ventured around. But I learned the system. And one thing I've always gave was effort.
Yeah.
And when you give that, you surprise yourself sometimes.
It's funny you say that. Before we jumped on camera, I was talking to Gary Barnett, and I said, tell me something about Donald Strickland. He said, well, he might not have been the biggest guy, but he said he hit as hard as anybody on that field. Where'd that come from?
It came from Pop Warner. I had older cousins who played the game, and, Ronnie Lott was actually my favorite player growing up in the shadows of Candlestick. So I tried to emulate that nature, and it was just a way for me to outlet on the field.
What's your favorite moment playing for the Buffaloes?
It would have to be when we beat them. I think it was November. It was my 21st birthday when we knocked off the Huskers in Boulder when I was number 1. And I turned 21 that night. I had a pretty good game. I think it was a 10 or 11 year stint that we didn't beat them.
Right.
So it was an epic night.
Yeah. There was a pretty good moment for you, if I recall. Colorado State. Did you have a pick six against Colorado State? Kind of walk the sideline?
Yeah, that was that was my first interception, actually.
Was it?
Yeah, it was junior year, Mile High Stadium.
That's right.
Yeah, it was. It got the defense going that year.
It certainly did.
So we had some great moments. Another one, obviously, was K-State. Darren Sproles was a fourth down play and kind of solidified the win. So great moments at CU.
Boy, certainly. And the Buffaloes always had 2001 season. I've said before, last great team for the Buffaloes. What was it about that group? Why you guys were 3-8 the year before,
right,
and to come back and do what you did in 2001? Where'd that come from?
Well, it was hunger. Barnett actually drew us closer together, and I think we played for one another. It was definitely a fight for victory type of compassion that each and every one of us had, and we knew we had talent, and we lost. When we were 3-8, we lost close games. I think we lost maybe 4 or 5 games by less than 5 points. So we knew we were capable, and then that off season we dug in deep, stayed on campus, and kind of worked hard, and the fruits of the labor paid off.
Was there, and it was kind of a Buffs against the world kind of mentality going into that Big 12 championship game against Texas.
Oh, definitely, because it was in their hometown.
Yeah.
But we had a great supporting cast that came out there, and we wanted to redeem ourselves from the first time we met in the season, and because they kind of put a whooping on us down in Austin, and it was a redemption game. But we were riding high off that Nebraska win, and momentum carries you further.
Yeah, no doubt. You talked about playing for Gary Barnett. What was he like to play for?
He was a good coach to play for. I think he was a strong mentality, very team-oriented. He encouraged us to really bind into that selflessness and be more open to just giving ourselves to each other and putting it all on the line. So he brought us closer together, I'll tell you.
You know, Bobby Passavento, your quarterback's been joining us on the road here. You got any good stories about Bobby you want to pass along?
Well,
be careful, it's a family show now.
Bobby was excellent. I mean, he came in and steered our ship when things were tough. I know, Craig Oates decided to go off, and Bobby took the helms and carried us to the championship game. So excellent quarterback. Excellent leader, and it was perfect timing for him to kind of show what he was capable of.
Well, a lot of Buffaloes out here in Palo Alto for the Buffs and the Stanford Cardinal, one of the great Buffs here at Donald Strickland. Good to see you.
Pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
You bet. We'll continue on to Stampede. We're going to talk with one of his teammates, Robbie Robinson, will join us next after a quick break.
Move foul, play action. Fires, end zone, touchdown, Shea Fields.
We continue on the Stampede. Great day in Palo Alto for the Colorado Buffaloes. A great alumni event. Anytime you come out here to California, there's always fans, there's always alums, including this guy from what I like to say is the last great team in Colorado history, 2001, that Big 12 championship team. Safety, Robbie Robinson. How are you?
I'm doing well, Mark. How are you?
Fantastic. Good to see you. Always, we come out here to California now, the Pac-12, and there's always just great fan involvement. A lot of Buffs out here.
Absolutely. It's great that the Buffs are in the Pac. It gives us alums out here in California an opportunity to see the Buffs more often, and I think today you'll see we'll be well represented.
There's been a lot of buzz, obviously, about this team. This team's playing well. Are you kind of feeling that, all your former teammates, that kind of thing?
Oh, absolutely. I tell you what, these days it feels good to walk through airports or wherever wearing your Buff hat or Buff shirts. They've certainly brought a sense of pride back to the program, and it makes alums like myself feel great about being a Buff these days.
I've said many times, and it's only half joking when I say it's been a hard decade. And it's been tough to suffer through, hasn't it, where this program has been?
It really has, and with the very rich history and tradition that the Buffs have, it's been tough to watch, but I tell you what, they've been a lot of fun to watch. They play really, really hard, and Coach Mack is doing a wonderful job building this program, and quite frankly, he's done it with some headwinds, and it's nice to see him coming out on the other side now and getting some wins.
This guy had a reputation of hitting people a little bit now. You got to like this defense that Jim Leavitt's got, don't you?
I tell you what, they do a great job. They fly around, they tackle really well, they're really sound, and they get after the quarterback, and I tell you what, I hate to say this, but I think this defensive backfield may be the best we've had in quite some time. They do a really good job, and I know my DB mates, Dog Pound, as we used to call ourselves, would probably want to. They're going to be a little upset about the statement, but I tell you what, Chidobe and Tedrick and Akello, they do a wonderful job, and they're a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah, no doubt about that. They've been fantastic. Can you give us any good stories about Coach Barnett now? We got him on the broadcast, and one of your former mates, Bobby Passavento, with us here in Palo Alto. You got to give us a couple of stories about those guys.
You know what? I don't think any of my stories would be appropriate for being on the air, but I tell you what, two amazing guys. Bobby was a great leader. He did a wonderful job and led us to the Big 12 championship. And then Coach Barnett, I can't say enough good things about him. He's been so influential in my life and really helped mold me during what's a difficult time, I think, for young men to sort of come into their own. And Coach Barnett brought a lot of discipline to our club, and he's just done a nice job, and I think there's some lessons that I learned underneath his tutelage that have stayed with me for a long time.
Bobby and I have talked about it before. I mentioned, 2001 being maybe the last great team the Buffaloes have had. He said, I'd love for somebody to take that mantle from us. He says, nice to hear, but I guess that's kind of that hope that this program continues in the right direction.
Well, my hope is we get to the point in which we don't have to talk about the last great team because we get on such a good run and maintain that momentum over time and build a sustainable greatness, and I think they're well on their way. I think they're doing a nice job. They've done a nice job in recruiting, so they're stockpiling the cabinets a little bit, and I think the Buff alums and Buffs everywhere are going to be very happy with what they see in the coming years.
Take us back to 2001. What was it about that team? What became special? Why did that group team seem to succeed?
Well, I think the first thing is we were pretty talented. We had a lot of really good players, and it's tough to win a lot of football games when you don't have the Joes on the field, and I think we certainly had that. We ended up having a large number of folks get drafted and play in the NFL, so I think it starts there. But we also had a great bond. great friends. We're all very close. We cared about each other, and I think again you're seeing that manifest itself with this team as well. They're a very, very close-knit group.
Is that something that's just organic? Can a coach influence that? Where does it come from? You talk about that close-knit nature of a team.
I think a coach can certainly influence it, but to what degree is the question. I think it has to come from the locker room. You have to have great leadership. It helps to have an older team, and I think there's some parallels between what happened in 2001 and then this team as well. We were 3-8 the year before, but we were an older team. We're very talented, and then we had some close losses in the year prior to the Big 12 championship. So you're seeing some similarities, but it certainly has to start in the locker room.
Have you been back to see the Champions Center yet?
I've not had the pleasure.
Well, we got to get you back there.
I look forward to it.
It is spectacular. Robbie, good to see you.
Thank you so much.
All right, Robbie Robinson. He was the defensive back in that 2001 team. We're in Palo Alto. We'll continue with post-game coverage after a quick break here on the Stampede.
Busy weekend for the Buffs, and you can follow all of it by checking out the media schedule at cubuffs.com. Soccer gets things started on Thursday as they host the UCLA Bruins at Prentup Field. That match is at 3 p.m. Mountain Time and is on the Pac-12 Network. Then on Friday, the cross-country team is also on the Pac-12 Network as they compete in the Pac-12 Championships. Later that night, volleyball travels to UCLA for a 7 p.m. match, also on the Pac-12 Network. Volleyball stays in Southern California on Saturday as they take on the USC Trojans. That match is at 6 p.m. Mountain Time and will be streamed live on USC's website. And finally on Sunday, the soccer team hosts USC. That game is at noon and is on the Pac-12 Network. As always, you can check out cubuffs.com for all upcoming games and where you can watch them.
Here's Burns looking deep left side, and that is picked off. It is Isaiah Oliver. And that will do it. Mike McIntyre and the Colorado Buffaloes survive an ugly one.
Back one final time on the Stampede. What a win for Colorado at Stanford. Win number 6 of the season, 10-5 the final. Buffs bowl eligible for the first time since 2007. This guy had a big reason why the Buffs won. That entire secondary. Chidobe Awuzie joining us, number 4. How about the way you guys played defensively in this one?
Man, the front 7 really balled out. They held the line of scrimmage. They had a lot of push. They stopped the run game and let the DBs play free. You seen Isaiah had his first career interception. Ted had 2 picks. So, it was really impressive for what the D-line did and what the front 7 did.
Talking about that front 7, he's being modest because that secondary was outstanding in this ball game. As that game wore on, it became more and more apparent you guys are going to have to keep making plays, didn't it?
Yeah, definitely. For the most of the game, it was 3-7, and we knew that it don't matter what the score is or how good we play. If we keep them at 3 points, we're gonna have a great shot of winning. So, great job by Chris hitting that field goal, getting us up 10-3, give us a little more comfortability. Then after that, we just kept making plays, and then Isaiah finished it. So we were really happy that it was on us that we finished the game.
So take us kind of into the huddle and under the sidelines a little bit. As the pressure's rising and it becomes more and more apparent that you guys are gonna have to make plays, what's the conversation like going like between you guys?
Oh man, we're really confident. We're a really confident bunch. We've been together for a long time. We've been on the wrong side of these type of victories and losses and stuff like that. So we knew what it took, and we knew that we're gonna have to keep playing, and we can't let them score. And then they had a drive over there where they got to like the 10-yard line. Then we ended up getting a forced fumble, which is a great play. And that's just the kind of attitude that we've built over the couple of years.
What's it mean? You're a Bay guy coming back here to the Bay Area, playing in front of family and friends. It had to be fun for you today.
Oh yeah, it was really great. I was just talking to a lot of those guys right now. It was great to see them, and really, just the whole CU fan base. Have that love and support. It's really been good for us and helped us play really good.
Chid, I was saying on the post-game of a radio broadcast, I said, we've been talking about the rise. Maybe we should be talking about the climb. This has been a heck of a process for you guys.
Yeah, man, it's been long, very long, and we're still not there yet. We can never be satisfied. We always want to keep pushing. So, the doubters and all those people that, don't believe in us, we're using them as motivation, and we're going to keep using that to keep pushing it forward. So,
when Coach Mack started talking about 2016, we're going to win the Pac-12 championship, what were you guys thinking? Were you buying in right away, or were you wondering, hey, is this guy nuts or what?
Oh, no, we bought in right away. That was something that really started with the team last year and the seniors and the leaders on that team. We never wanted to settle for anything less than, the best. So as competitors, we always wanted to be great, and that was the number one goal, and that's the highest goal you can achieve. So we're going to definitely shoot for the stars and keep this train rolling.
Well, like I said, they've still got work to do, but when I say 6 wins, the Buffs are bowl eligible. What's your reaction?
Been a long time. The rise is real.
No doubt about it. Good stuff for the Colorado Buffaloes. Now you got the bye week coming up. That's got to be kind of nice. I mean, it's probably timed pretty well. Get a win, got some stuff to work on, and now you kind of get to see how things kind of sift down the Pac-12.
Yeah, definitely. You know, we get to kind of, take a deep breath, kind of grasp all these wins that we've gotten, and, when we go back to practicing and lifting and all that stuff, we're going to have to refocus and get right back on the road that we're on right now.
And you're not concerned at all. That offense struggled today, but you know that offense is pretty talented.
Oh, they're really good. Yeah. And, shout out to Stanford's defense for holding them to 10 points, but, that's not going to happen again. I can't see that happening again.
The way this thing stacks up, you got 3 of your last 4 at home.
Yeah.
I mean, at Folsom Field, I know how much you love playing there.
Yeah, man. I think the averages has been crazy. The fans come in, the altitude all plays a big factor into what we do. And, we're really happy to be in the position we're in and to close these games out at home.
Good stuff. I know there's going to be a lot of excitement back home when we get back home after the Buffaloes pick up win number 6 of the season. They're 4-1 of the Pac-12. Congratulations.
All right, thank you.
All right, Chidobe Awuzie. They got a bye week, of course, and then a week from Thursday, it's the UCLA Bruins coming to town as we put a wrap on the Buffalo Stampede. A lot of excitement after a 10-5 win. The Buffs over Stanford here in Palo Alto. We'll talk to you next time.